Human beings are one of the few species on Earth with a sense of consciousness and self-awareness. As such, with the life we are given, we, as a species, have given ourselves rules on how to treat other living beings. Some feel that these rules contradict one another. We are told to treat every life as precious, to treat other living beings as we should treat ourselves. And yet, our bodies are built to feast on other living beings, such as plant life and animal life, in order to survive. As we go along our journey, it is important that we ask ourselves these uncomfortable questions. Where do we draw the line? Where is our moral compass? What is the difference between senseless acts of cruelty and a necessary means for survival? So when I was a kid, me and my family watched a lot of movies growing up. Before all these streaming services, Blu-rays, and DVDs, we had to use these big bricky things called videotapes, or VHS as it's more colloquially known. You know, those things you had to rewind all the way to the beginning if you wanted to rewatch your favorite movie over again. Nowadays, this would be seen as a big pain in the ass, but when you're a kid, listening to that tape hit the very beginning just felt so gratifying. Now, a lot of shit from childhood we tend to leave behind because it just doesn't hold up and we've grown out of it. But what's beautiful about an exceptionally great work of art is that it sticks with you for the rest of your life. Every frame is forever stitched deeply into your subconscious, and it shapes the way we observe our media today. Had it not been for the era of VHS, it's hard to say whether or not I would have been the film buff that I am today. And yet, I'm sure a lot of you have that one film that your family reminisces about every so often that somehow escaped your memory. For me, that movie was Milo and Otis. Yeah, every once in a while, my parents and my brother would bring up this movie when talking about films we grew up with, and yet, I just don't remember any of it, like, at all. Maybe it's because I had two cats on my own, and the entertainment they were giving me was enough for me to be like, these TV cats are boring, I want to watch something else. Or, it could be because I was born in 1994, and as I was growing up, we already had movies with fantastic visuals, great characters to look up to, and compelling storylines to back them up, that a simple story about a cat and dog going on adventures just wasn't enough to keep our attention anymore. However, as an adult, I've come to find out that this movie is a lot more than just a simple story about a cat and a dog. It was originally an art house film in Japan directed by zoologist-turned-filmmaker Masanori Hata. By the way, I just started watching anime, so forgive me if my Japanese isn't that great. Hata and associate director Kan Ichikawa shot 400,000 feet of film at the Masakuro Animal Kingdom. The end result was a film titled The Adventures of Chataran, a Kitten Story. And holy shit, was this movie popular. Not only was it the highest grossing film in Japan released in 1986, but it played at the Cannes Film Festival. It was the third highest grossing film in Japan ever at that time, beaten only by E.T. and Antarctica's South Pole Story. They really like their animal movies over there. The movie even received awards overseas from the Japanese Academy for Most Popular Film and Best Music Score. The movie was even popular enough to have its own video game adaptation in Japan. Well, this is pretty bizarre to say the least. So yeah, Milo and Otis is just an English dub of a Japanese film. And apparently my family wasn't the only ones who grew up with this film. A lot of people have really fond memories of this seemingly simple movie about a cat and a dog. Now, one of the most important aspects of film criticism is seeing how well a movie ages over time. A movie that lost Best Picture may be remembered more fondly than the movie that won the same year. A movie that was once polarizing for audiences and critics alike might later be seen as a cinematic masterpiece. And likewise, a movie that was once seen as a groundbreaking masterpiece might later be seen as an unbelievable piece of trash. And on that note, after watching both cuts of the film and doing very thorough research, I think it's important that in this day and age, we remember Milo and Otis as the movie that fucking murdered puppies and kittens for the sake of art! No, sorry, we're not doing the intro today. It just feels distasteful. Milo and Otis is one of the most bizarre things I've ever come across in my life. And I'm not just talking about movies. Everything from its production history to the way both cuts of the movie tries desperately to hide its shady practices and put it on display at the same time. And yet, even with all of this, it somehow managed to capture the hearts and minds of audiences from around the world to the point where there's still people in denial about its history. What's even weirder is just how many different animal welfare groups say different stories. One says they did an investigation and found nothing, while the other says, yup, something definitely happened during the making of this movie. But you know what? You never truly know unless you've seen the movie yourself, right? So that's exactly what we're going to do. I'm going to leave no stone unturned and look at every frame of both cuts to prove that there are merits to these allegations, and to judge every other aspect of both cuts to see if there's any sort of justification for existing, beyond just clinging for nostalgia out of desperation. God help me, let's start at the beginning. So the Japanese cut begins, and immediately we're treated to the movie's award-nominated soundtrack. Just going by this track alone, yeah, I could see why the music was nominated for an award. Sure, it has that dated 80s synthesizer, but it sounds really nice here. It's peaceful, and yet eerie at the same time. It fits perfectly with the wilderness. Sorry, I can't help but laugh because the first change the American cut makes is replace the soundtrack with this bullshit.
On a pretty little farm, the sun comes up on a curious cat and a pug-nosed pup. A brand new life outside the door. Follow your nose and go explore.
Yup, us Americans replaced this award-nominated soundtrack with an upbeat, folksy country western-sounding jiggle. And the best part? They kept that eerie opening with the trees and the music does not fit at all. America was always beyond parody, always has been. Anyways, one of the reoccurring themes that's exclusive to the Japanese cut is the inclusion of poetry.
Stars are the children of the sky. Mushrooms are of the earth. A dewdrop is of water. A nursery is of the forests. Every child has a story. A little squirrel's eyes observe. A kitten's tongue dares to lick. A puppy's paws scratch at random. A bare muzzle is busy shifting. Alright. I don't want to give the impression that I'm just an uncultured American that doesn't like it when a movie is trying to be artsy and poetic. And for all I know, these subtitles could be a bad translation, but this shit is so cheesy. For the sake of comparison, one of my favorite movies of all time is The Tree of Life, a movie that is very poetic and extremely artsy, like so much that it loses a lot of people. But the difference here is that the poetry in The Tree of Life is actually meaningful, and tells a lot about the characters, their eternal conflicts, humanity and its connection with nature, spirituality, and the universe.
The nuns taught us there are two ways through life. The way of nature and the way of grace. You have to choose which one you'll follow.
Father, Mother, always you wrestle inside me.
What exactly did we gain from this poem right here? The most I got out of it was, wow, nature is so cool, man. I'm sorry, but this shit is so hard to take seriously. So far, this movie feels like the actual pretentious bullshit film that people accuse The Tree of Life of being. So then the poetry that goes on to talk about children and how they tend to feel fear more than adults do, and it's like, I fucking doubt that at this point. Yeah, you can see why this shit was cut out of the American version. Instead, all of this was replaced with narration by Dudley Moore.
The noise upstairs didn't disturb the dogs that slept in the barn. They could sleep through anything.
And to his credit, he does do the best work he possibly can to make this stuff seem more pleasant, but that's also a huge problem with the film, and well, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So then the day begins, and honestly, looking at this footage at first glance, I could see why someone might enjoy this film. As someone who's done nature and animal shots before, I know how hard it is to get an animal to do something cool or cute on camera. So far, the only shot that seems strange is this one right here.
The cats look a bit disorganized, and it almost looks like they're being forced out the door by a crew member all at once just to make the shot look good. But other than that, it's just cute animals doing cute things on camera set to some cool music. If that's your thing, then as of now, I can see why this film got so popular. Then this shit happens. Wait, what the fuck? Is that a snake? Why the hell did you bring a snake onto a set full of kittens? Yeah, no shit it's not friendly, it's a fucking snake. What's the point of this? Oh dear God! They let a cat get bitten by a snake and they put it in the movie. Oh my fucking God! Now, the movie never specifies whether or not the snake itself is venomous, so I've tried like hell to do my own research on snakes to try to identify which ones are venomous and non-venomous, and apparently there's a lot of conflicting information out there. For the longest time, stuff like this was a deciding factor as to whether a snake was venomous or not, but according to the McGill Office for Science and Society, this is all bullshit? Eventually, I just said fuck it and googled venomous snakes in Japan, which in hindsight I probably should have just done to begin with, but what the fuck ever. And here's what I found on factsanddetails.com. Pretty straightforward. Apparently there are 3 kinds of venomous snakes in Japan: the Japanese keelback, the habu, and the mamushi. Now, it's hard to get every detail of this snake just because of the low video quality, and if I had to guess, it kind of looks like a keelback, but apparently a keelback can look like anything if these Google image results are any indication. But regardless of whether or not the snake was venomous, you still filmed the cat get bitten by a snake and put it in your movie that's supposed to be a cute adventure film. That's a little weird. And we're not even 10 minutes into the movie. Alexa, what kind of snakes did they use in Milo and Otis?
I don't know that one.
I mean, if Alexa doesn't know, then you're fucked. Okay, so that crazy shit is exclusive to the Japanese cut, but this next scene is in both versions of the film. The mom cat and the kittens go back to this dock next to the river, and Milo falls into the water.
Milo, get back here! Swept away by the river. All of you back on the dock, she ordered. Right now, and behave while I'm gone. Milo!
Oh, good going. Now you've got another kitten falling into the river.
First thing in the movie, they fall in the stream, right? Get swept away. Well, cats don't swim too good. 5 cats drowned.
I'm starting to think that covering this movie was a mistake.
Do you think you can follow me back to the shore? I think so, Milo said. All right, be careful, his mother ordered. Can't we swim back? Milo asked. That was fun.
Oh yeah, that definitely looked like you were having fun and not just you two meowing at the crew members telling them to get you out of the river. That's not even a joke. You can tell by the footage that's exactly what the mom cat is trying to do before she just says fuck it and swims to shore on her own, praying to the cat gods that her kitten does the same. So 3 months pass and not a whole lot happens. I mean, Milo decides to smack this bird in the head a bit, which is a little mean, but kind of funny too, nothing too serious. Then he gets attacked by a goddamn crab. This scene is also in the American cut, but Milo's screams of pain are lowered and almost drowned out by the soundtrack. Now, I don't want to give the American version any sort of credit for softening the blow of these clips through editing because, quite frankly, that doesn't make the movie better. If anything, it makes the movie all the more deceivious. The fact that Milo's pain is less audible doesn't change the fact that he is clearly in pain. So then Milo and Otis start playing hide and seek, and yeah, it's cute on its own, but after watching the snake scene and the river scene, I'm so disenchanted by this movie's attempts to be cute. Also, I'm pretty sure a dirty chimney that high off the ground isn't the safest place to put a cat, but ah well, I guess it's not the worst either. The American version also added this B plot involving this egg. I'm assuming these were scenes that were originally deleted from the Japanese cut that were later put back in after we deleted a few of the bad shit. Although I did notice some Spielbergian-esque lighting that you never saw in the Japanese version, so who knows where this stuff was shot. You might think it's pointless that I'm pointing this stuff out, but let's put a pin on this, and we'll bring it up later during the third act of the film. Alright, so let's just say that for whatever reason you looked at these scenes and thought I was overreacting. That these scenes may have been kind of mean, but nothing life-threatening, and that I'm acting like a gigantic P-word. Buckle the fuck up. You ain't seen nothing yet. So we cut back to that dock from earlier where Milo finds a hiding spot in the box. The box then drifts away down the river. Despite the fact that this cat looks fucking terrified, the American cut has the audacity to shove this line in there.
Quick, jump in. This'll be fun, Milo shouted. Otis didn't know what to do. Hey, this is great. Come on. Hurry up, Otis, come with me.
Yes, dog, come with me to my potential death. As Milo is carried further down the river, Otis jumps in to swim after him. And by jump in, of course, I mean he was dropped into the river by a crew member because... yeah, that's exactly what it looks like. And because Otis is a pug and not a dog with actual strength, he can't catch up to Milo. We then hear Milo's cries of fear as he flows down the river. And the American cut drowns this out with more of that bouncy folk music. And just when you think it couldn't get any worse, they throw a bear into the mix. I'm not joking, look at this shit. They try to make a small cat fight against a bear while stuck in a box floating down the river. You can't make this shit up. Then Otis jumps in to try to fight the bear and look at this. Look how ridiculous this shit is. They put a pug next to a bear in the middle of the river and the bear is literally dunking the pug's head underwater to drown him. Just by looking at this footage alone, is there any doubt that animals were in fact harmed during the making of this movie? Now, it's probably been a while since you've seen Milo and Otis, and you're probably thinking that this is a scene that the American cut tried to hide. Nope. The scene you're looking at right now is from both cuts. God, it's so mind-blowing to me how this movie can just display such fucked up imagery of animal cruelty, while backing it up with music that sounds like it was ripped straight from Barney the Goddamn Dinosaur. So then Otis and the bear make it back to dry land. The American cut edits this scene down to a few seconds, but... here's the uncut version in the Japanese cut. Yup, the crew members definitely fed pugs to that bear. Notice all of the jump cuts during that fight? I think it's safe to assume that they used footage of the bear killing the pug, and just cut out all of the footage where you see any real damage. And to add literal insult to injury, they try to add calming nature shots to distract you from the fucked up imagery. Oh god, that bear is really fucking up that pug. Oh, but look at the bunny is so cute. Oh god, someone help that pug out. Ooh, bunny, cute bunny. You see what I mean by deceptive filmmaking? This is textbook manipulation. Now usually I hate using other people's words in favor of my own, but in order to fully emphasize just how fucked up it is that they chose a pug of all breeds to go up against a bear, as opposed to a Great Dane, German Shepherd, or even a goddamn Border Collie, Lindsay Ellis put it way better than I ever could in her video on this film. Hi, I'm Rash and Orion. I'm just now finding out that Lindsay put every video that she made for Channel Awesome on private, which is understandable. I mean, the video she currently makes now is way better, and she's a best-selling author and doesn't want to be associated with that shithole anymore. So, instead, I'm just gonna verbally repeat what she said to the best of my memory. Throughout generations, we've bred certain wolves to be less like wild animals and more like the companions to humans that we know today.
A pug has basically been stripped of most of its wolf genes to the point where it has no dignity. In short, a pug is barely a dog, and these filmmakers put this barely dog up against a bear in a fight. Oh god, can we please stop talking about the bear scene? So the box keeps drifting forward as Milo runs into... You gotta be shitting me. Yep, they made this cat go down multiple waterfalls as we hear its cries of fear. God. Usually I'll try to add some snark or wit to the stuff I'm commentating over, but I just got nothing for this scene. And as per usual, the American cut tries to soften the blow by lowering the volume of Milo's cries for help, and by adding this whimsical sound effect of Milo falling down the waterfall. See? It's not animal cruelty, it's whimsy.
Milo was all right.
No, he wasn't. So then night falls and Milo is still in the box in the river, and then we're treated to this shit in the Japanese cut.
大昔から川は流れている。岸辺の草とピチャピチャ内緒話をしながら、川底の石とゴロゴロふざけっこしながら、日の光とキラキラ歌いながら。
Guys, you fed pugs to a bear. You made cats go down waterfalls. I don't give a shit about your slam poetry at this point.
His trip down the river wasn't fun anymore.
It was never fun. Fuck off. So Milo eventually gets out of the box to find some food. It's here that we get to see yet another infamous scene in the Japanese cut. As you can see here, Milo appears to be limping. The movie explains this by saying that he fell onto a thorn, but if you look closely, no thorn is present on his paw. According to the allegations, the director actually broke the cat's leg in order for his limping to look authentic on camera. Again, I have no joke here. The most I can do is make fun of what the narrator has to say.
Oh, great. Now he's taunting us. That's just embarrassing.
After that, we get yet another Japanese exclusive scene where Milo eats some mushrooms. Wow, this movie really is 1,000 Ways to Die as an Animal, isn't it? Now, out of all the allegations made against this film, I haven't heard anyone say that the cats were poisoned during the making of this movie. So for all I know, this cat was gagging over something different and the movie decided to make it look like it was poisoned by the mushroom. But why even put this in the movie? What did this add to literally anything? So not a whole lot happens after that. Otis plays with his fox for a bit. Milo finds a horse to ride on, which is actually kind of cute, even though he looks a little scared to be up there. Then Milo finds himself next to train tracks. And it's at this point where I was seriously scared that the filmmakers were dumb enough to throw a cat in front of a train. It's still entirely possible if you're factoring in outtakes and test shots and other footage that can easily be destroyed during an investigation. But in the final film, it's just matching action that's cheated to make it look like the cat and the train are there at the same place at the same time. Oh my god. I didn't write this down, but why the fuck didn't they just do that with the bear and the snake and literally everything else in this movie? God fucking damn it! Alright, so this next point has nothing to do with animal cruelty. It's just another example of the American version using its tacked on dialogue to talk down to its audience. You might think it's pointless of me to bring this up considering all the other crazy shit in this film, but I'm bringing it up anyway because, well, listen to this shit.
I'm the night bird and that is a dreaming nest. What do you mean? Milo asked. Well, dear cat, anyone sleeping there will have his sleep flooded with dreams, the bird said.
So, it just functions like a normal bed?
It makes whoever uses it comfortable enough to slip into their subconscious? That doesn't sound like magic, bro. That just sounds like a normal bed. What other mind-blowing revelations do you have, oh wise owl of the forest?
So I would say, what are the processes? Well, I think what I've recommended to people is clean up your room. That's a good start.
So skipping around a bit, Milo sees a trout in the river and decides to fish for it with his tail. This might sound like a cool idea at first until you realize that trout have 2 rows of sharp teeth.
Yes, trout have teeth, but you only need to worry about larger trout if you are concerned about getting bitten. Large trout have 2 rows of teeth called vomerine teeth on the inner roof of their mouth. Used mainly to grip and hold onto their prey, these teeth can be quite sharp. Put it to you this way, don't go sticking your fingers into a large trout's mouth or you will know about it.
Milo caught one.
So then this raccoon comes in to steal the trout, and after that, oh my god, you brought the bear back onto the set? Fucking really? And on top of that, you put them both on a small tree branch high off the ground? What the fuck is wrong with you people? And don't give me that, oh, the director of the film was a zoologist. He must have known what he was doing. No, your credentials does not excuse you for putting animals through this much horror. So in a scene that comes straight out of nowhere in the Japanese cut, Milo finds himself on a rocky cliff next to a seashore surrounded by seagulls. The American cut explains that he was looking for food, but still comes across as a disorienting jump cut. He tries to eat one of the babies and the seagulls go after Milo. And holy shit, does this cat look pissed in this shot. I can't say I blame him considering he probably had to watch his brothers and sisters get pecked to death just to get this one shot.
2 cats were pecked to death because there's this scene with all these seagulls, if I remember correctly. Again, I was 5.
So after we're forced to watch this cat get attacked by these seagulls, the movie then jump cuts to a shot of the cat falling off the cliff. At least he landed on his feet. What even happened here? Like, in the context of the movie, what were they trying to get across in this scene? Was he carried away by the seagulls and then dropped into the water? The American cut explains that he tried to make a jump for it, but if that's the case, why is he facing the cliff? And how did he even jump that far? Oh, and speaking of the American cut, they try to soften the blow of this shot by adding this sound effect. See, kids? It's not animal cruelty. It's just like your cartoons. Oh my god, this is horrible. And to make matters worse, this shot goes on even longer in the Japanese cut. Now, keep this in mind. Audiences in Japan have seen this part of the film God knows how many times. The people at Cannes Film Festival have seen this scene. I had to watch this scene. And now you have to as well. I have no words. Moving on, Milo somehow makes it to shore and finds a small abandoned hut. He goes inside the hut just so this wet-ass P-word can easily dry off. Milo, for the love of God, do not eat that bat.
And he was feeling safe at last. Until he looked at what was right outside. Oh.
Oh my god, no. Not again. Not again! Not again!
4 were mauled to death because I think there's a scene with a bear, like a black bear or something. Yeah.
Okay, tough guy, come and get me. The bear reached for Milo with an open, hungry mouth.
Stop making this small cat fight a fucking bear! Oh Jesus, he's biting his paw now too? Can this movie just be over now? Oh, whatever. The cat drops a thing on the bear's head and the bear runs off.
Afraid the bear would be back. He thought he'd be a lot safer hiding at the top of a tree. But he was wrong again.
Oh, fuck you. I didn't make any edits to this either. This happens literally right after the bear scene.
So that's up to 11 cats, right?
Getting there. Yeah, it's 11 cats. The 12th was swallowed whole by a snake.
Well, that snake looks a lot bigger from the one from earlier. If I had to guess, it looks closer to a cobra. Maybe a mamushi? And then the branch breaks and Milo falls into a dirt hole. Better than a rock, I guess. So not a whole lot happens here. Otis finds Milo in the hole and tries to get him out and... What the hell is this music in the American cut? I mean, I hate to give any cut of this film any sort of credit, but at least the Japanese cut had better music. Hell, I might actually steal the music from the dream sequence for a future video. Oh yeah, this music is so calming, so refreshing after all the shit we went through. Wait, that bear scene was supposed to be in the dream sequence? Why? Alright, getting back on track, Otis manages to get Milo out with a rope.
Are you all right? Otis asked. You have no idea what I've been through. Bears, snakes, even seagulls.
You don't have to tell me, Milo. Well, it looks like Milo and Otis have finally reunited. Who fucking Ray? Yeah, I don't know what the hell happened there either. Anyways, Milo then comes across a female cat and ditches Otis for her. I'd make a joke about bros versus hoes, but for some reason I feel that's beneath me. So blah blah blah, winter comes, and Milo's GF gives birth to some kittens in a hibernation hole. Am I allowed to show this on YouTube? Alright, so here's another aspect where the American and Japanese cut differ. After the cat gives birth, the Japanese cut moves right into spring. The American cut elaborates on the winter scenes more. Otis starts to wander in the wood and sees a female pug. Pretty convenient. Just like Milo, the two dogs find a cave to hibernate in and have puppies. Now, earlier in the video, I talked about another sequence that was added for the American cut. I mentioned how hard it was for me to tell if these scenes were shot in America and added for that cut, or if these scenes were just deleted scenes from the Japanese cut that were put back into the American cut. Since there's no confirmation that I've seen, I'm just going to assume that it's the latter rather than the former. Now, why is this important to point out? Well, because of what we're about to see. Otis notices that they're low on food and decides to go out in the winter storm to look for some grub. You see this shot of Otis looking cold and tired? Yeah, he looks so fucking thrilled to be in the winter wind. Well, now you can add froze pugs to death to the list of allegations this movie has. Probably a good time to mention that pugs have an extremely thin coat of hair that does a shit job at protecting them from cold weather. That's why you always see them in dog coats. It's not there to make them look cute. It's there to protect them from this shit from happening. Now, I might be pointing out the obvious to a lot of people, but if this movie taught me anything, is that I should not underestimate the power of dumb people and animals.
Please take your phone off.
Please don't come close to me.
I'm taking a picture and calling the cops.
Please call the cops. Please call the cops.
I'm gonna tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life.
Anyways, Otis reunites with Milo again. Otis gives Milo some fish. Spring comes into the air. And everyone lived happily ever after. Except for the 6 dogs and 20 kittens that were murdered off screen, and possibly even more cats and dogs that were murdered during the test shots.
The whole group was gathered together. Milo and Otis led the way down the road that would take them to the place where their lives had begun, the road that would take them home.
Now the journey's over and we're heading back home with a very good friend. You're never alone. Stories to tell, stories to hear.
That was the worst goddamn movie I've ever seen in my life.
So yeah, that was Milo and Otis. Not exactly the pure and innocent movie you remember. After everything you just saw, you might be thinking to yourself, how did I miss this? How in God's name did I miss all of this when I was watching this movie multiple times? Well, the short answer is, you were a kid back then. The long answer is, this movie duped so many people beyond just children. Frankly, this movie was released at the only time they could have gotten away with something like this. This movie was released in 1989, a good 2 decades before the Harvey Weinstein scandal disenchanted everyone from the glamour of Hollywood. Simply put, a lot less people were questioning the ethics of filmmaking. Hell, even when Siskel and Ebert talked about the movie on their show, they treated the animal cruelty allegations as just a footnote, and their main complaint was that the movie was too cute.
The real issue in evaluating this picture is just how much cuteness can you or your children handle in one movie. For me, even at only an hour and a quarter, I was restless during the adventures of Milo and Otis. And if it hadn't been for W. Moore's fine narration, I would have been really restless. One more note, there has been a rumor going around that kittens were killed during the making of this movie, a rumor. According to the American Humane Society, however, that rumor cannot be confirmed as truth. Instead, the association's statement about the film cites a number of positive endorsements of the movie from Japanese animal rights groups.
And honestly, I can't really blame these guys. The two had such a high respect for the art of filmmaking, I'd imagine they were in the same position as everyone else who saw this movie when it was released, and just looked at these scenes and said to themselves, huh, that's a little weird. I don't know, maybe they had enough professionals on set to make sure these animals didn't get hurt too badly. Maybe the cat being thrown off a cliff is fake. I don't know, these guys are professional zoologists apparently, and I'm just here to watch their damn movie. Now with that being said, do I blame anyone for watching this movie and enjoying it on their first viewing? No. Do I think this movie should be shown to future generations? Fuck no. This isn't a Return to Oz situation where the people making it were like, oops, we accidentally made a movie that's too intense for small children. Better slap a PG rating on that shit and call it a day. This G-rated movie put real animals in situations where they were killed, and was shown to an audience that was too young to notice. That's just beyond fucked up. Whenever an artist of some sort is exposed for being shady or problematic for lack of a better term, one question that usually pops up is, can you separate the art from the artist? Well, in the case of Milo and Otis, no. This isn't like the Harry Potter series where the evidence of J.K. Rowling being not that great of a progressive is only noticeable in her work if you pay close attention to that shit after her mask-off moments on Twitter. Although, I am surprised that she named an Asian character Cho Chang and nobody seemed to notice until now. The evidence of Milo and Otis's animal cruelty is basically 90% of the film. And with the information that we have now, it's impossible to unsee that shit. Another factor that you have to take in consideration when talking about separating the art from the artist is who's making money off of this movie. Well, I have no idea if this guy is still making money off of this film, but let's look at the people who brought this movie to America. Columbia Pictures, a company that's currently owned by Sony. Now, did you notice anything peculiar about the American cut? Particularly the 16:9 aspect ratio and 1080p resolution? Yep. Sony is still making money off of this movie. No, your eyes aren't deceiving you. That is in fact a Blu-ray copy of Milo and Otis on sale on Amazon. Please don't buy this movie. If you pay money for this thing, you're basically telling Sony, thanks guys, thank you so much for bringing this animal snuff film to the States. One of these days, I want to see this pug get mauled by a bear in 4K resolution. The only redeemable quality of this film is the cute animal moments. And in the age of the internet where everyone has a camera, damn near every piece of this footage is easily replaceable. Cat chilling with a deer? Replaceable. Pug riding on a turtle? Replaceable. Cat messing with a bird? Pfft. If you don't think this clip is replaceable, you clearly don't know cats very well.
Oh, c'est fragile! Trou de cul, va!
Hell, this video of a beagle barking at snow brought me way more joy than anything in this movie.
You're barking at the snow. Why are you barking at the snow?
And yes, all this stuff about animal cruelty will fly over the kids' heads, but
They deserve so much better than that. There's a reason why baby Ryan doesn't even remember this movie and we moved on to watching other films. There's just not enough substance for it to hold up over time. I can name a bunch of movies on the top of my head that are much better for your kids and that you're more likely to go back to in your later years. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. This movie has so much charm that'll be forever passed down to younger generations. The Lion King. A powerful coming-of-age story about discovering yourself and taking responsibility. Mulan. Oh, what's that? You want a strong female protagonist that kids can look up to? We've had her the whole time and she was awesome. Dumbo. If you want a safe way to get your kids into psychedelic imagery, this movie and Willy Wonka are a good place to start. Spirited Away. I actually never got around to watching this one until I was in my 20s, but I love it just as much now as much as I would have as a child. And last, but certainly not least, Fantasia. This movie expertly combines some of the greatest music ever created with some of the greatest animation ever created, to give you an experience that ranges from mesmerizing to thrilling to absolutely beautiful. Hell, one segment gives you a lesson on the creation of the Earth. If that's not substance for your kid, I don't know what is. As for this movie, well, in my previous review, I said that Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 was one of the worst movies I've ever seen. Just one of. If you were to ask me what the absolute worst movie I've ever seen is, like the absolute bottom of the barrel, well, you're looking at it. This movie changed me in ways that I don't know can be undone. A movie like The Room, Manos, Troll 2, or Neil Breen's entire filmography can easily be enjoyed for how bad they are. But Milo and Otis? We're talking about a movie that disguised animal cruelty as high art and children's entertainment respectively, and succeeded on duping the public. I don't think you can get much more evil than that.
I'm a big proponent of art for art's sake. I think that can be done well, and I think that can be done poorly. What if I told you I was going to make a show about a child discovering their sexual maturity, and the promotional art for that show looked like this? I don't like this promo art very much, to be perfectly honest.
The fact that Cuties is on Netflix is nothing shy of a crime, in my opinion. It is actual softcore child porn. I tried to give it the benefit of the doubt. I made that video talking about how maybe Netflix marketing just fucked it up and it's really not a movie that sexualizes kids, but it's significantly worse than I thought it would be.
But if the message is sexualizing young girls is bad, can I just fucking say how stupid of a message that, like, you don't need to tell the audience that's bad. We fucking know it's bad. If you don't know sexualizing young girls is bad, then I'm sure the FBI needs to fucking come to your house.
Amy, 11, becomes fascinated with a twerking dance crew. Hoping to join them, she starts to explore her femininity, defying her family's traditions.
She grabs her, like, relative's phone and runs into the bathroom and locks herself. She then undresses herself from the waist down. You don't see anything, thank God. She takes a photo of you-know-what and uploads it online and then passes the phone back. Like, it's, I don't know what the context was, but whatever it was truly an uncomfortable scene to watch.
There's so much ass shaking, so much ass touching from the girls, ass slapping, and it's just fucking disgusting. And the camera operator, I don't know who's working the camera for this movie. It must be Dan Schneider, because the camera operator's like going up each girl's ass crack, going like right up for a colonoscopy. When they spread their legs, he like fucking speed runs over there to get the camera as close as possible. And again, these are actual children actresses. These aren't adults playing kids. These are actual 11, 12-year-olds. They're children doing these disgusting fucking things.
And they're pretty hot. And you know, you can say whatever you want about me. It's not my fault. I didn't make them do that. They did that.
Well, guys, I've got bad news. We still live in a society where the weak and vulnerable are being taken advantage of by people with the most power. So again, I must reiterate those questions from the beginning. Where do we draw the line? Where is our moral compass? What is the difference between senseless acts of cruelty and a necessary means for survival?
So settle down in the nest, dear cat, and be prepared for the dreams. They may be sad or frightening or beautiful, But sleeping in that nest, dreams will surely come. And Milo's dreams began almost the moment he was asleep.
Hello, Milo. Can you hear me? This is your conscience talking to you. Now listen to me very carefully, Milo, because this information is important. Not just for you, but for the fate of life itself. Milo, I have terrible news. America, the most powerful country in the world, is infected with a virus. This is not a virus that can be avoided with masks and social distancing. This is a virus that has been affecting the country since the foundation of its existence and has willfully been ignored by the people, or worse yet, complied. This is a virus known as fascism.
I've also asked HHS to add the AIDS virus to the list of contagious diseases for which immigrants and aliens seeking permanent residence in the United States can be denied entry.
Milo, for generations, we have been duped into thinking that this virus has been eradicated or gotten weaker. It hasn't. It has been much stronger in recent years than it has been for the past 2 decades.
If we waltz up in there... They're all sitting here drinking
I know.
Don't you dare!
I
called you a nigger. You're a nigger.
Little fucking kikes! They get ruled by people like me! Little fucking oxyrons! I fucking, my ancestors fucking enslaved those pieces of fucking shit! I rule the fucking world! Those pieces of shit!
Milo, do you know what happens to a body when it's infected with a virus as great as this? It coughs. It sneezes. It turns solid waste into liquid. And yes, it even bleeds. I cannot stress this enough. You cannot blame the body for this. Do you want to know why? When a body has rejected the proper medicine multiple times, it will do anything and everything in its power to push the virus out. Because if the body were to try to unify itself with the virus, as this body in particular often does, the virus will only grow more and more deadly.
I say tonight, we punish Planned Parenthood. I think it's time that abortion doctors should have to run and hide and be afraid for their life.
Deer came here to the Planned Parenthood with propane tanks. Investigators believe he had every intention of shooting and firing on those propane tanks, thereby setting off a series of explosions.
Milo, that clip was from 5 years ago, and things have only gotten worse from there.
That's for everything that you fucking did to me, bitch! Told you I'd get you!
Rosenbaum appeared to be unarmed and had 5 gunshot wounds, according to an autopsy.
So what do you say, Milo? Why not fight the virus with us? It'll be fun. It'll be an adventure. It'll be what is best for a better and brighter future. Trust me. We have no other option at this point.